Right, yeah, so we'll do the same go thing. 3, 2, 1, go. I was confusing Point Break, its release year. I was thinking it was 1990 for the longest time.
Yeah,
But
okay.
doing the rewatch and doing a bit of research about it, yeah, 91.
Yeah, okay. Was it early or mid or?
Not too sure, but yeah, 1990.
Yeah, okay.
And I clean, it went straight over my head that James Cameron was an executive producer on this.
Yeah, he had a
Well,
um
Catherine Bigelow was the director, and I believe at the time they were still married.
yeah, they were married at the time, and yeah, Catherine Bigelow, she had done Near Dark before this, which I saw years and years ago. An earlier film of hers as well that I haven't got around to that looks intriguing is Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis. But she went on to direct a movie I do really enjoy, K-19, The Widowmaker, with Liam Neeson and Harrison Ford. And she went on to win an Academy Award for The Hurt Locker and did, was it Zero Dark 30 about the hunt for Osama bin Laden? So, although she's been pretty idle for a while, I think her last movie was 2017. And James Cameron had a hand in the script. So the script was written by, I think his name is Peter Iliff.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a sort of huge filmography, but it's quality, not quantity. I think he wrote the adaptation for Patriot Games based on
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah.
Clancy novel, and that's a phenomenal movie. And I believe he also wrote Varsity Blues with James Vanderbeek. So
So he gets around a little bit. I was just going to say, John C. McGinley, whenever I see that name rock up in the credits, I just can't wait for the smug, superior authority figure that needs to get his comeuppance, because he never fails to deliver on that.
yeah, he's got some range, hasn't he? And he's in a terrific miniseries called Intensity, which came out a couple of years after this. It was really good. I forget who the lead actress was, but he plays the killer in it
Yeah.
as Keanu goes through his
Yeah,
paces.
I was going to say it's a very interesting way to introduce us to Johnny Utah, isn't it? And I always love when a film does this. Like, they don't just have like black screens and fly in, credits and all of that. Like, actually visually tell a story while the credits are going on. Like, I love when the films make use of that time.
Yeah, it looks great. It's a terrific opening, juxtaposing Bodhi and Utah. I think the original title or the working title for the film was called Johnny Utah, but
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
and I believe I'm not really into surfing, but a point break is a certain type of wave, or what a wave does as it hits land.
Yeah.
It's all a bit technical for me.
Yeah. See, and when people were gushing over long shots in films like Spectre and Creed and all this kind of stuff, and there was another one in 2015 that did as well, this whole intro of Johnny Utah arriving at the FBI HQ, being assigned to Pappas, this is all one take. I don't believe we get a cut until he picks up the donut.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
awesome camera work here, going down the hallways and all of that. So yeah, believe it or not, people, the one shot take, going through an intricate kind of set, it was done long before the 2010s.
Yeah, yeah, they've just forgotten that it's a lost art. The filming and the editing and the cinematography in this film is brilliant, but we'll probably talk more about it when we get to that foot chase. But yeah, this is all brilliant set up here.
And look at how clean cut it is with like the sterile colors and all of that, compared to like sleeping on the beach and jumpsuits, and like the suit and ties eventually just get completely faded out. Like Pappas stops wearing them. It's got a nice like visual transition to where Johnny Utah is now, from the academy to his first assignment to where he ends up.
Yeah, it's all order and structure, which is what Bodhi rebels against and fights against.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and especially, yeah. Well, spoilers, but you see that at the end when Utah does finally get his man, on the Bell's Beach. He's very unkempt with long hair. He's
Yeah,
kind of adopted Bodhi's like physicality as well,
yeah, it's
over
a
the
very
year on the run.
transition. Yeah, I noticed that as well. I'm glad you picked up on it. Um, how we meet them at the start is very
Or,
different to how they look at the end.
yeah, one thing I wanted to point out is this Ted Levine here,
The
because
instructor,
yeah, the voice sounds so spot on. Like, there's your guy. like it. I had to do a double take when I heard his voice. And I couldn't confirm it, but I thought it was. Hopefully, someone else might be able to let us know about it, but I could have sworn it was.
it looks a little like him.
It sounds a lot like him. Yeah, this was a great way to introduce these two.
Yeah, Pappas.
You,
Gary
you
Busey.
are literally getting the blind truth. He's blindfolded and he's totally not filtering himself. Yeah, the shit they pull, huh?
Yeah, he's just running him into the ground, and
Yeah,
instead,
it's literally the blind truth. This film is great for doing things like that.
and it really sets up. Pappas has such great instincts. Every theory or lead or hunch he's got turns out to be on the money. So when he says something um, sort of off the cuff and seemingly insignificant, like fetching bricks at the bottom of the pool, it's on a rewatch. You do start to pay attention to things like that as the ex-presidents make their first raid of the film. Now, so some of James Cameron's input. So in the script, I was reading they were the dead presidents of the United States, and one of Cameron's ideas when he had some input into the script was make them the ex-presidents. He didn't think masks of like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln would be all that effective, so they made them the ex-presidents. So I think I've got this right. So Swayze is wearing the Reagan mask.
Yes, that's correct.
Roach is Nixon,
Yeah.
and I believe the other two. I think it's Nathaniel. He's got the Jimmy Carter mask, and Gromit, the long
Gromit, yeah.
LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. I think I've got them right, but I may have the last two mixed
I
around.
also love how it's not just the rubber mask, but they've also adopted their primary dress sense that they had in their terms.
Yeah, well, Reagan was an actor, so he's got the tux. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is a nice nod. It's not just the rubber mask, but their whole attire is just brilliant. I
Yeah,
also love how Roach bungs on the Nixon accent.
yes, yeah,
Like, that's something I only just caught going. Well, it had been a while since I'd seen it, but yeah, he actually does bung on the accent, which is really cool.
yeah. And it's again, this scene here really cementing. Although I think he elaborates a little bit later, the tan line, just a random spur of the moment gesture leads the FBI to start on their path. And these guys must be phenomenally good at what they do for a living. Just a random insignificant action like that. And Pappas has such good instincts, spotting the tan line.
And that's something that I like with his relationship developing with Utah here, because Utah, like when the other two guys come in and start mocking Pappas for his surfer theory, like you'll notice that Utah doesn't take the joke, he doesn't take the bait or anything like that. And then when they go to work the lead on the drop car, he flat out asks because he's genuinely interested. He wants to know because maybe he could have a fresh take on it.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't rule it out just because these guys are hazing him. Like it's a
yeah,
really cool character moment for Utah there.
yeah, it's a great moment, this. And there's some wonderful lines like that one. And also Swayze just before the little hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Yeah, yeah. There's tons of great work in this, and here's the real star of the show, John C. McGinley. Like he just has that presence, you know. Every time he rocks up, you just can't help but just crack a smile.
Yeah, the perennially pissed off boss.
Yeah, he's good at that. I mean, just hire that guy. And I love how Pappas, you know, like I believe that he has a line saying he's been doing this for about what 20 years. LA's changed a lot in that time, I think he says.
Yeah,
And you'll notice that like he doesn't wear a tie. He's got the buttons undone at the collar there. Like he really has kind of gotten out of the button down kind of habit that a rookie would have. And then you look at Utah in comparison, his first day being assigned to him, like the collar's like not even loose, it's dead tight.
yeah, yeah, very by the book.
Yeah, like he calls him a snot-nosed brat. He calls him over the hill burnout. Like, but they like their physical dress sense reflects that. Like they don't need to say it, but why not?
Yeah.
I wonder how hard a night shoot would have been back in the day. Like I know the blue lighting trick and all of that kind of stuff, but I can't help but think it would have been pretty tricky until about just recently.
Oh, night shoots are grueling, yeah, from what I've read.
Like to
And
get them real crisp like the way they are today, yeah, I don't think there was a way of doing it back then.
yeah, well, the lighting would have taken forever because if the filmmakers don't get it right, it's a wasted night. So a lot of effort would have been put into the lighting.
And like afternoon shots would be the same. If you got to do like 10 takes of a 10-minute scene, there'll be no consistency over the sequence. Like, because the sun will just keep going down.
Yeah, and sometimes the weather doesn't do what you want. A lot of the time, I was reading the book about the bonfire of the vanities, and it was just such a prick of a shot to get the airplane landing at just the right time of the day because the sun just wouldn't come out or it would come up too early. And
I love how literally everyone in the backdrop here, even though they're out of focus, are just staring at these two having it off. You get the sense that not a lot of people fire back at Pappas that way.
yeah,
Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention about Utah's intro during the rain when he's at the firing range. It's interesting how the film starts with rain with him and it ends with rain with Bodhi.
yeah, that's another sort of visual motif.
I love. I was thinking this on the rewatch. Now I love these guys logging some OT. They got the Chinese food laying all over the TV monitors. They're drinking Coronas. You'll notice a slab of Coronas up on the monitor. Like so,
Yeah,
they've got like 64 more cans to get through.
yeah.
Yeah, just a bit of OT.
I'm not sure how old Keanu was when this was made. He looks so fresh-faced, doesn't he?
Well, when I was going through my speed kick, he was about 30 in that. And if this was
Okay.
about 4 years before that,
Yeah, so mid-20s. Yeah,
so
okay.
I believe the character is 25. He might have been about 26 or 7 at the time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he's 60 this year, I believe, or that might have
Yeah.
been last year. But he's one of those guys where, like, he looks older in speed than what he does in the Matrix, and there's like a 5 year gap there. Like he's
Yeah,
just got
he's
one of those weird kind of faces that he loses some weight, he looks younger. You know, he packs on a little bit, he looks older. He just easily morphs like that.
yeah, he's got such an interesting base. It's yeah, and what a career he's had. He's yeah, well, like we talked about earlier, he went on to do those sort of high concept sci-fi action films.
Gary Busey must be a fair age now. I know we haven't spoken too much about him. Yeah, I love the pose that they do here, really kind of showing how well they've started gelling together.
Well, he's such a great character actor. Like we've talked about his character. Like it's almost he's so good.
Yeah, it's like every time we say Pappas, just assume we're talking about Gary Busey moving forward
Yeah,
because he's
he
just bang
does.
on. Yeah,
Yeah, he's an excellent supporting character in this.
I never noticed that he was actually in the shop there as well. Like these guys aren't all concerned about blowing their cover here, doing the boardwalk in full suit and tie.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's real. And pointing at the crowd you're trying to embed with. Yeah, well, you don't think about that stuff back then. Yeah, I was thinking of Gary Busey. How old would he be now? He's got to be, what, 80 minimum? Like, surely.
yeah. Well, he's probably around 40 here. Um, I've always liked him because he plays a great villain in Under Siege,
Was that
which
the
came
Steve
out.
Seagal one?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
yeah, that nonsense on the boat. I believe it's either a year before this or after this, but he's great in that. Under Siege always had terrific villains, and he was one of them.
See, I've often wondered how hard surfing is, because it's a major point of the film. You know, well, like I've never even tried it. I'm not all that good in the water. Like I can't even swim. But you see some people just have a natural gift for it. Some of the things they do, it's just kind of mesmerizing.
Yeah, I'm told it's a steep learning curve, but if you stick with it, it does become easier. It's Yeah, but also it's very location based. Like you can live near a beach, but it's not a surfing beach. It won't generate waves to surf. So it's sort of fairly location specific.
Oh, well, I didn't even know that. So there you go. Actually, I believe they mention that in this film, don't they? They're trying to find the break tide so they know the circuit the ex-presidents are running on. So it's like a point in the film, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the west coast of America, just sort of going up and down it. And even with the filming, I was reading they would look for the look for the sort of beaches that had the best waves to get their shots.
I was looking up Laurie Petty not too long ago. She has been active all these years, but I find it quite fascinating. She's never cropped up in my circles at all. Outside of her role in Prison Break, I believe she was kind of like the head inmate gangster when Sarah Tancredi gets locked up.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that's probably the last thing I've seen her in outside of this.
Yeah, I haven't really followed her career. Yeah, much like yourself, I was trying to think of anything she'd been in, and I do remember Tank Girl from the mid '90s, but
Yeah, yeah.
I barely remember one or two scenes in it. She had a lot of talent. I'm surprised she was not a bigger name because she's great in this.
Yeah, she has a really great voice as well. Like you could have easily have done some voiceover. For all I know, she probably has
Yeah.
that kind of accent that she's got. Yeah, the surf, mate. I love how Johnny Utah's channeling a little bit of Pat Healy here. They're
Yeah,
just staring at a woman with binoculars with the car door open.
yeah. Well, this is how the idea for the story came to the screenwriter. There's another guy that has a story credit. I missed his name. I think it was Rick Baker, who had the idea that because if you're a surfer, it's not a 9 to 5 job. If the waves are up, you've got to drop everything and grab your board and go out into the surf.
Which again is
So,
another line of dialogue that Pappas says in the film, and that is, they need to knock over the registers to fund their endless summer.
yeah, so there was a lot of petty crime in the surfing scene on the west coast, where I think he was saying a lot of them just sort of sold weed, but yeah, they'd have parties and you'd wake up and if the party was at your house, a bunch of your shit was missing the next morning. Um,
And like you get gate crashers, people who don't know absolutely anyone at the venue just turn up and start knocking things off.
yeah, and that's what they do to get some income and to finance their hobby, and they just sort of took that and times it up by 100 to make them bank robbers.
This is something I really loved about Utah here, how he uses the dead parents as the get in. And when I was doing the rewatch for it, and the mentions of he's some dumb quarterback and all of that, that part of the backstory is actually true. And the leg injury that he mentions to Bodie at the night party, that he messed up one of his legs in 2 years of surgery, all of that backstory is true. The only thing that's really fabricated for his undercover work is that his parents are dead as well.
Yeah, yeah, the parents are alive
Yeah,
and
so
well.
everything else is bang on.
Yeah, he's a bit of a shitheel for doing this, but he needs a way in, so this was the only way.
Yeah, well, fuck. Why can't I say what I really mean?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I'm a selfish prick.
Yeah. You're right, Tyler. I am an asshole. I'll need to write these lines down for the next time I'm having lady dramas.
I get a high from helping all God's creatures.
Yeah, yeah. This is brilliant. This and yeah, like as you were saying, like you'll notice that like they've got to drop everything that they're doing when the surf's up and go and cash in on it. She's literally working at this cheap, beach food, hot chips diner, and it's right on the coastline as well. Like
Yeah,
so nipping out 10 minutes here and there probably isn't that taxing.
yeah,
Just so Tyler's never too far away from the action.
yeah.
And it's interesting that outside of the opening, we haven't had any like real link to Bodhi at all just yet, have we? We've seen the Regan mask, but we haven't seen anything alluding to him.
Yeah, so I believe he's establishing shot where they properly introduce him's coming up shortly.
Yeah, like it's almost like an end of like first act, and we haven't seen it yet. Well, also Patrick Swayze is top billing on this film, I believe.
Yeah, he was a sort of at the peak of his powers with this. He'd because in the early '90s he'd done Ghost. By this time he'd done Dirty Dancing.
And
I'm
this
not
isn't
sure.
that far removed from Roadhouse either, '89.
That's
Like
right.
it's
Yeah,
it's not that far removed at all. So he was huge at this point.
yeah, he had a huge career. Um,
It was a bit of a trend with movies in the late '80s and '90s, wasn't there? With the villain actor getting top billing. Like you saw it with Jack Nicholson's Joker, you see it with Patrick Swayze's Bodhi, like Hannibal Lecter and all that kind of stuff. Like the villain gets the top billing. I mean, mostly because the actor, who's doing the portrayal is a lot more established. Like Keanu hadn't really had his breakthrough yet. That
yeah,
didn't
so
come
he'd
until
done.
about Speed.
Yeah, Speed was still a couple of years away, so he'd done Bill and Ted, I think, or at least one of them. But yeah, he was sort of still his star was still on the rise when this came. But yeah, like I said, Patrick Swayze was well established by this point because I'm I'm just not quite sure of the timeline. I don't know if because Dirty Dancing was a massive hit, but he was established then, and he'd done Roadhouse, and Ghost was one that sort of took him into the stratosphere as well, and they all sort of came around, a 4 or 5 year period.
He was ridiculously in shape around that era, Patrick Swayze. Oh my god. Yeah, like
Well,
far out.
everything you read and hear about him is just so impressive. He, yeah, he really had the world at his feet. Sadly passed away in 2009.
I thought it was 8, or I might be confusing that. Oh no, I think Dennis Hopper was '08, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, we've been, mentioning Keanu and Speed and all that kind of thing. Um, there's a lot of good moments like this. See, one theme about this film that really stuck out to me watching it earlier this week was there's this massive subtext underneath it, or maybe not so much sub. I am a little bit slow, but that urge to fit in. Like, I know
Yeah,
Utah is doing it in the context of going undercover to try and find out who the presidents are because he genuinely has faith in his partner's theory. But you see this constantly, like he's trying to fit in with Tyler, so he uses the parents to do that. It does form a real relationship that does stick the landing at the end of the film. He tries to fit in with the surfers, then he tries to fit in with the inner circle of the four presidents, and even up to when Bodhi's the last one alive, like there's still that kind of camaraderie that like don't shoot my man kind of thing. Like there's this sense of belonging that's through the film.
yeah, and the notion you inevitably take on characteristics and traits of people you surround yourself with.
Well, you are the company you keep. There's a reason that
Yeah,
saying exists.
yeah,
Like, yeah, and here's our first real introduction to him.
yeah. I wonder if it was. It looks like it's him doing all the surfing shots.
Oh well, it wouldn't surprise me.
If it's not him, it's his twin brother.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I always love the way Keanu, especially in this film, delivers those kind of lines. Like, like when he sees something like, holy shit. Like, he's still channeling a lot of Bill and Ted, isn't he? And
Yeah, yeah. He's got that sort
and
of.
seeing these guys play football, I thought was very interesting because when Johnny joins the game, he just starts rolling them, even though he's got a bum leg.
Yeah, yeah. American football.
I never understood that how that's played.
Yeah, it was just too stop startish for me. I tried to get into it, but it was
Yeah,
yeah
I had a
very
high school friend that was real big on the Super Bowl and the gridiron and all that kind of stuff. And every time he tried to explain it to me, it was like he was talking Greek. Um,
yeah. And the games go pretty much all afternoon. Like they're 3 or 4 hours long. I don't have that kind of time anymore.
yeah, Carol, we don't have that kind of time. And I think this is what the four of them are there, and the outer circle's there as well
Yeah.
at this point.
So,
Yeah, here we go. I love this. Just leave your cars running hot. It's such a '90s thing to do. Like this doesn't happen anymore because like a lot of areas, like even beaches, like are still pretty well lit now.
yeah.
Like burning fires on beaches and all of that. Like yeah, you can't really do that anymore. At least not down here, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, they cracked down on all this a long time ago. As Keanu's team gets a touchdown and Tyler goes in to score.
Yeah, touchdown, asshole. Well, it's only half time, my friend.
Yeah. I really hate guys that hate football. There's a
Yeah.
great moment coming up here, which I've always loved. Uh, Bodie takes him down. It's where it's sort of, it sort of ceases being just a friendly bit of game, and there's a bit more oomph in the hits. And it's this moment coming up here when Johnny tackles him into the surf, and the look Bodie gives him as he gets up, you're not quite sure if he's going to deck him or. It's this moment here.
I love how Johnny has just dropped like five guys running for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
straight into the surf.
yeah, it's great. What a great look. Great choice by
Oh
Swayze.
yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Roach is channeling a bit of Jesus, Fokker. It's only a game, and
I was going to say one thing, since this isn't that far removed from Roadhouse and Ghost and all of that, where he had like kind of a chocolate brown hair. I love how Patrick Swayze's hair for the role of Bodhi, it's like a sun bleached like blonde. Like
yeah,
obviously, if he's surfing all the time and living like in a beach house and he's in close proximity to the coast all the time, his hair wouldn't be dark. It would be that sun bleached kind of a look.
yeah. And the guy behind Tyler, I believe, is Rosie, who figures into the plot a little bit later. And there's another, again, the movie's really good at these random off the cuff comments that really stand out on a rewatch. I'm not sure if it's Roach or someone else who like he's got the whole truth right here. Lawyers don't surf. And Bodhi says this one does.
Apparently, what Anthony Curtis is one of these idiots as well. The singer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Apparently, he's one of the surfers as well.
Yeah, I believe he's one of the Nazi gang who jump him at the shower.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's the one with the yeah, John C. McGinley. I do love how the surfboard. I believe Utah makes a mention here that it's too big to leave in the car because he can't lock the car door anymore.
Yeah.
So he's got to stroll around with it inside of the HQ. And you notice that compared to the start of the film, like Keanu's got this bit of a tan going now, practicing to surf.
Yeah, this whole scene is great. From when the surveillance camera picks him up, walking into the office to.
It's almost like the arse out in Tango and Cash, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I love how these two really don't care. Yeah, the cigar inside of the building. I love how these two just really don't care. Like they truly believe that they've got him. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, your lame-o idea. I do like that. You got to back me up on this. Like, your young partner's the one out there breaking his neck, getting knocked around, playing football and all of that, trying to get in with these guys. You kind of need to cover my ass when the boss brings the hammer down.
Yeah.
This woman here, the one that he got to run the background check on Tyler, she really stuck out to me, and I was trying to put my finger on where I might have seen her before.
Okay, I'll have to get a good look at her.
Yeah, I know her from something. I can't quite figure out what it is. Well, another cool thing about the kind of yin and yang of Utah and Pappas is when they are collecting these the hair samples on the beach. Pappas just walks up with a pair of scissors and just starts
Yeah.
feeling and manhandling people on the beach and cutting locks of hair off, and Utah's like real, yo, bro, there's something on your head, and trying to be real stealthy about it. Like Pappas really doesn't care at this point.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, this is a great scene as well. Very funny.
Yeah, and also just wave the badge around. Real brilliant. Yeah. See, I wonder if like surfing culture has changed a whole lot over the years. Because when you think surfer these days, you don't kind of get the shagginess of this, do you? Anymore. It must not be the style anymore.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't, because I was interested in picking up the Tony Hawk games on the Switch. Well, they're skateboarders, but that sort of has its own sort of thriving culture as well. I
Yeah.
can't remember off the top of my head if there's been a surfing game. Nothing sort of immediately jumps out, does there?
The only thing that popped into my mind was wave race, but that's jet skiing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how pretty much every other sport has been adapted in every other medium, but I don't believe there's been a sort of a real sort of memorable surfing game, if there's been any.
See, that's something about Utah as well that he brings up at Bell's Beach when Bodie asks him, "Are you still surfing?" He says every day, and I believe at that point it's been about a year since he last saw him.
Yeah, okay.
So it is something that he kept up with. It sort of evolved beyond doing it just to get in. Like I know this board gets damaged, it gets snapped in half. I believe in a scene coming up. It's this afternoon that it happens, uh, but he still keeps on practicing it, which I
Yeah,
thought was an interesting little line that he had there.
I think it's bad etiquette to steal someone's wave. These
Yeah,
guys
well,
are really
all right.
unhappy.
It's I love how he's like going out of his way to like track him down.
Yeah.
It's like the A-wing pilot crashing into the Star Destroyer deck, isn't it? Like he just locks in and hones in on him.
Yeah.
And what I love the most about this is that that still wasn't enough. Like he had to go and get like five other guys to go and jump him at the shower. Like he pulls a knife on him, cuts the safety line and everything. Yeah, and that still wasn't enough. See, I've never been able to figure out guys like that. I don't think that's a surfing problem. I think that's more of an asshole problem.
Yeah, what's that saying? If you bump into someone and they're an asshole and the rest of your day is good, they probably were an asshole. But if you're constantly bumping into assholes,
Maybe
you're
you are.
probably the asshole.
Yeah. See, that's something that I a life lesson I learned very early. Everyone around you can't be an asshole.
Yeah.
You're the common denominator in that. So maybe you're the problem. I missed the old stakeout at day.
Yeah.
You don't see it anymore. It's all got to be on a dark and stormy night.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit like a stakeout in real life must be so boring. It's like someone asked John Grisham once, like, is being a lawyer really like this? Yeah, except like take all the fun parts out of it. It's exactly like that.
So one, and this is something else with Utah. You got to remember, Utah's a rookie, and Pap is his first partner. And that mistake, Pappas makes a mention of it when he catches up to him later. Like, next time you leave my side and you don't have your shield or your gun on you, stay in line of sight. Like, he walked behind a bunch of shrubs there, and I genuinely believe Utah had no idea that he did that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he kind of, like, didn't realize that, what he was doing, and he left himself wide open like this.
yeah. The larger guy, he kind of reminds me of the villain from Cyborg, doesn't he? Fendar, but I don't believe it's the same dude.
Well, a lot of these guys get around. Like Bull Hurley is the Red Triangle Circus gang member that Batman shoves dynamite down his
Yeah,
crotch.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
yeah, so I mean, these guys get around. He's trying to strangle him with the safety wire that he just cut.
You
But
better not be talking to any babes.
well, it's okay if you did. I understand. Latigo Beach. I was just trying to catch the sign there. I wonder if it. I mean, I'm sure like this film does stay pretty well grounded, doesn't it?
Yeah, the writer elaborated on it in an interview. The only scene that really kills it is the final skydive. But put a pin in that. Well, I'll discuss it more when we get to it.
Yeah.
We'll stay with the action now as Bodhi launches into.
I always thought Patrick Swayze was an actual martial artist, wasn't he?
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's always nice to see him flex his skills like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure to what degree or what discipline, but yeah, he knew how to throw them.
Yeah, like the kicks. Like, same deal with Roadhouse, how he has scenes where he's practicing katas and stuff like that. So it's always a treat when you get to get a guy like that just cut dead sick and press record and see what you get.
Yeah, and another great line. This is stimulating, but we're out of here.
Yeah, I love that just keep walking line as well. It's like you're stopping the school bullies from picking on the new kid, in a way. Like,
Yeah.
it really is kind of like that. And I always love the flip of the switch with Pappas here, where he does see him, then he realizes, oh, well, shit, this is the guy we're trying to bring down. And he, true professional, doesn't miss a beat,
Yeah.
rephrases it so he's looking for a kid. Yeah, I love how they're going through these names here. Like, because isn't the like surfing name like the surfing name is Bodhi, isn't it? Like, I don't think. Do you ever get like a real name for him? Like, I've been trying to work that out.
Yeah, I think his real name is Bodhi, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, like War Child.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got some real winners in this group.
yeah, Bunker
Yeah, Bunker. Yeah, that was the one that dropped him in the water.
in the water, yeah.
Yeah. And I do love how he goes out of his way to just kind of slog him again before he takes. I mean, you got to get the last one in. Like, it's what does Brody say in Mallrats? Oh, come on, guys, just one time. Like, you got to get one back on him. That's just that's how it's done. See, I wonder at what point did Bodhi get it in concrete, because he seems to know right off the bat that Utah was full of it.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem at all surprised. Like, when well, later on, yeah, there's a big moment that sells me on this. He really doesn't seem to be like at all surprised.
Yeah, well, I guess he probably felt it was inevitable. I think Papa says they've knocked off 30 banks.
In
It's only
3 years, I think.
yeah, it's only a matter of time before someone comes knocking. Keanu, he's barking up the wrong tree here with these ones. But
Yeah,
he does have that. He does have. They're chasing a gang of four, and he does that have. He has that epiphany.
I love how, just real quick, I love how they lay it on Harp, and it's the two dickheads that were given a hard time to Pappas.
Yeah,
So they forced them to stake it out till like 12 the next day. And they're just stuck out there. Yeah, this is a bullshit lead.
yeah,
Yeah, this is. I absolutely love this. See you bright and early, guys. And what was this? The Stone Cold Pizza? I immediately thought of Cobra when Pappas pulled that. Yeah.
yeah,
So it's always nice seeing guys get their comeuppance like that. But it's just a bit of harmless, fun. Yeah, really cool. Like, you can't introduce side characters that act like knobs and not have the uh, main two leads act like a knob back at them at some point.
yeah. Speaking of knobs, as the camera purrs past that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's some personality plus in this crowd. Like, yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah. It's what does Gormsby say? It's not dancing, it's epilepsy. Yeah. So yeah, the house party scenes. I remember hearing something. I think Kev Smith might have said it once. Like, these massive like banquet scenes where everyone's wearing, like, men are wearing suits, ladies are wearing dresses. Apparently, in the '90s, they were told to kind of steer clear from scenes like that because they were fucking monstrously expensive. I wonder if this was just the nice kind of counterbalance to that. Well, let's just have them all go and get drunk at some mate's house.
Yeah, and also the fact they're not, you know, the surfing
Oh
culture.
yeah,
They're
well I know. Yeah, well they're a bunch of beach bums. Like I get that, but I wonder like in your like in your old schools and all that kind of thing. If that was the counterbalance to it, it's just oh well, let's just have a house party instead.
yeah.
It achieves the same thing. Yeah, this guy's a bit of a goer. Yeah, and the foreshadowing in this dialogue is right up there with like at the start of Reservoir Dogs, isn't it? Like the breakfast in Reservoir Dogs basically sums up the entire film. This what happens now at the fire literally in roundabout ways describes how the film plays out moving forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of foreshadowing here, and it sets up the events for the second and third acts. I can't get over how much screen presence Patrick Swayze has.
I was just gonna say that. Like, I'm trying to keep a train of thought here. You know, when he was taking a tequila shot off of some girl's cleavage, and I'm just like, wow, like, oh, far out, like a true star at the time, wasn't he? And you can
Yeah,
see that Keanu is picking up a lot from him.
yeah, and like every acting choice he's making, whether it's big or subtle, he's just mesmerizing. He has so much depth as a character in his performance here. Yeah, it's a real sad shame he's no longer with us. He's
Like
phenomenal in this movie.
that line there. If you want the ultimate, you got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. Well, Utah does catch him before he gets that wave.
Yeah,
You know, like everything led to that, and you know, like he gets his crew killed by chasing said ultimate.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. There's the iconic song by Rat, but this song playing now is a song called Over the Edge by LA Guns, and it's a fantastic song as well. It's well worth listening to in its entirety. And I believe they're still active. I searched them on YouTube a year or so ago, and apparently they're still touring and performing. Um,
oh well, there you go.
oh yeah, they've got some miles out of it, but yeah, it's a great song, Over the Edge. I thought I'd quickly mention
I
it.
don't know if I would say Rat, you know, really hit the big time. They had two songs. It was Round and Round and Nobody Rides for Free.
Yeah,
That's basically it. I wouldn't really say what they had one album and it was Rat Greatest Hits. And these two
but
songs are what you get out of it.
yeah, but it's just amazing. The song marries up perfectly with the movie. The other best example is probably the Terminator with that Tiny Kane and the Triangle song. You cannot hear this Rat song and not think of this film.
Yeah,
But there's other songs like, I can sort of divorce myself from like say Kiss from a Rose and Batman Forever,
yeah.
but this song is just magnetized to this film. It's pretty impressive and great when it happens.
Well, case in point, like look at the price that Utah pays. Like Pappas gets killed,
Yeah,
you know, like, and he does that trying to spare Bodie and get Tyler back.
yeah,
Um, you know, like literally everyone in this film comes out short-handed.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how you do it, mate. Don't use the lid. Just puncture it with your buck 120 and
Yeah,
light a fire. I mean, no time for lids, mate. Yeah,
yeah.
lids are for pussies.
Well, yeah, it's funny because I mentioned Under Siege before, but I believe Steven Seagal does something similar when he blows the chopper up on the deck. He punctures it with a knife.
Yeah, yeah, no
With this
time.
metal
Yeah, mate, no time for lids. I do love this. Yeah, going up to that. Yeah, shit, oh shit, fuck, and the wave just totally wipes him out. Because see, this is a. You'd be surprised how many people don't know this, but when you are out there in the wilderness in the dead of night, it is pitch black.
Yeah,
Like you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. As an audience, they've got this filming technique going on here where we can see what's going on, but the characters can't see it. And just to kind of you get you back into that realistic mindset, Utah says, like, I can't see shit out here, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there and you don't have the lights of a city near you or anything like that, you cannot see a thing.
Yeah, actually pretty dangerous what they're doing because
Well, vision is highly overrated, right?
yeah, some of those waves look pretty high.
Yeah, I do. I love Utah when he starts, kind of backing out, but he has to stick with it, kind of. Like, I'm gonna fucking die now.
Yeah, don't be such a pussy.
Yeah, it's just a scratch. And, yeah, and this is kind of the real... Because he is learning things from Bodhi here. It's almost as though he's got two kind of mentors throughout the film with Pappas and Bodhi himself.
Yeah,
Because, like, both of those are massive influences on where he is at the end of the film.
yeah. I wonder how the film would have been received if they did stick with the title and call it Johnny Utah. I wonder
I,
if
don't, I think what really made them kind of drop that. I'm sure there's a number of real reasons as to why they did it, but I think when you get Patrick Swayze signing on as Bodhi, and it's called Johnny Utah, and Patrick Swayze is not playing the character of Johnny Utah,
yeah,
I think you're gonna kind of confuse a lot of people. So call it something neutral that both characters are going to be relating to.
yeah, yeah. Good point.
Yeah, just leave the fire going, mate. Oh no, wait a minute. No, sorry. No, Bodhi makes a mention of leave the fire going for him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, because they're still out there. Um, and another kind of rookie moment with Utah is he totally forgets that the raid is happening tomorrow
yeah,
because he's been so absorbed in what he's doing. Like at this point in his undercover work, he's not really acting anymore. And it's something that Tyler makes a mention of here. He hasn't got the scowl anymore.
yeah. These deep cover operatives, they must have such incredible mental toughness and mental compartmentalization
It'd be
to
so hard to not get attached, but you've got to, you know, like you've got to be able to drop all of that.
yeah. I should really look up some some other great undercover movies. The two that spring to mind were Donnie Brasco with Johnny Depp and The Departed with Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio, but that was based on a I think it was a series of films in Hong Kong called Internal Affairs or Infernal Affairs, and they're really good as well. These guys who are undercover for years. Just, I mean, yeah, I'm really fascinated what attracts people to that sort of line of work and why they stay. It's yeah, like the mental toughness required for a job like that is astonishing.
Because it's not something you can kind of go, knock it off in a week, can you? Like some of these people get embedded for like 2, 3 years of their lives.
Yeah, yeah, more like it could probably go into decades building a case of being undercover.
Well, as we're about to discover, when they do this raid, they totally blow a drug trafficking job with who was it? I think Tom Sizemore has a quick cameo, and
Yeah,
he was playing a guy who was embedded, and all they ended up was 2 bricks, and the guy had to go and get a real tattoo to not blow his cover, and
yeah,
these idiots come along and just totally just shelve it on him.
yeah. What a total cock up this next sequence
Well,
is.
it would have to be on a need to know basis as well. Like if you got feds knowing who's undercover and all of that work in different cases, like you could the more people know, the more easy it is to screw it up.
Yeah,
Well, having said that, they can do just as much damage in the dark, can't they? Hmm. Yeah, that was something that stuck out to me straight away. Like I recognized him, I'm like, oh god, who is that guy? It's coming to me, and I was like, yeah, Tom Sizemore.
yeah, that's him. He another one who's sort of sadly no longer with us. I think he passed away a year or two ago.
Yeah, it was very recent. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I love the heat wave in the background.
Yeah, it's a great shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. And I always love that. Yeah, gun down the front of your pants, mate. Like, I love that thing in the movie. In movies.
So I always there's actually not a whole lot of action in the film, is there? Another one of Cameron's ideas or suggestions was really turbocharge the action when it does appear. So you've got the raid and the failed bank heist. But yeah, for a movie that's considered like one of the seminal action thrillers, we tend to think that we inflate the amount of action in it, don't we? Because the action we do
Well,
get is so good.
that's it's interesting. It's pretty common with things that Cameron's attached to that like everyone calls Aliens an action film, and I
Yeah,
don't believe it is either. Like I think it's a very kind of claustrophobic film just as much as the first one is. Like outside of the APC moment and
yeah,
the loader fighting the alien queen, like there's not much action in that film either.
yeah. What the few sporadic action scenes are so concentrated and intense. It
You
inflates.
can easily understand why someone would confuse it for an action film.
Yeah, it really inflates the amount of action that we think is in it.
And then this bastard across the road just decides to crank open the lawnmower.
Yeah, and yeah, put a pin in that. We'll come back to that in a minute about the lawnmower and why it's there. We'll just follow Utah for a second.
I love the little dental mirror
Yeah.
trick here. And, like I could have sworn this guy was trying to rub one out. Um,
I'm like, is he, what do they call it, tweaking?
oh yeah, he's all drugged up, isn't he? He's got his headphones in, and then yeah, he's having a bit of a perv, and like as you do. See, and like that's what I'm talking about. Like he's got the 5 o'clock shadow going now. Like he's slowly getting the physical traits of Bodhi, who doesn't shave.
Yeah. Is that an org?
Yeah, so they pull out like these aren't water pistols, people.
Yeah. This is like military ordnance.
yeah, and, like one of them pulls out an org. Like, like they're not screwing around. Like, or as Utah would say, like these people are pulling out a fucking arsenal. Like, yeah, they're not playing around. And I love how these guys have got no idea what's about to blow up on the other side. And the one character that does know what's about to blow up can't do anything about it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. So the lawnmower, this was a suggestion from Cameron as well. If they're just having a fight, it's just a fight that we've seen in 100 movies. But I think it was Cameron's idea to put his face near the lawnmower, and it is a memorable scene. He's a real Cameron.
Which they would have had to have done for real
Yeah,
back then.
it reminds me because he's always been about, and I've seen this a lot, sort of reading about his films. That one of his approaches is how can we make this interesting? And if it's just two guys fighting on a lawn, it'll be fun but forgettable. But the introduction of the lawnmower just gives the stakes that you sort of want to grab your pillow and you don't want to look and you're squirming. So it's a really cool idea to have them fight. And there's this runaway upturned lawnmower there.
I love how this bloke wasn't at all phased mowing down his woman. Yeah. Yeah, and then one thing definitely about this film, mate, does not shy away from like graphic violence, does it?
Yeah,
Like the bullet in the foot, getting shot in the head. Like it doesn't shy away from any of that at all. Like it's all front and center.
yeah. So they arrest the fucking guy who's undercover.
Which yeah. I wonder what would have been going through his head as soon as they burst through the door screaming FBI. He would have
Yeah,
been thinking, "Oh, well, that's 3 years of my fucking life down the drain." I can't remember how long he said it was. He's like, "Do you think I like this haircut?"
yeah.
Like there's like an automatic shotgun. Jesus. And I love how Utah went out of his way to spare this chick, and now she's just ripping into him.
Yeah.
Like, mate,
He just got dropped, didn't he?
And I love how, like, every time he goes back, yeah, the foot shot, that always made me kind of cringe. Every time he goes back and meets up with the surfer gang again, like, he gets more and more flogged up,
Yeah.
which is something I love. Yeah, so just try to jump out the window. He tackles him out of it.
Yeah, and it's a great character beat because they've well and truly established by this point he's a footballer, so he knows how to tackle someone hard. And he'll repeat that in a little while when he tackles Bodie after the bank heist
Yeah.
that initiates the foot chase. So that was a great character beat.
See, and that's and we saw his prowess during the firing range.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Even all these years later, it's such a hairy scene.
Like, not shying away from it, like, at all. So and I love the, like, the wardrobe choices as well, like the blue jeans and, you know, like the blue shirt and all of that, and having a rough and tough kind of beat 'em up like this on a lawn. I love all the grass stains that are all over Johnny at the moment.
Yeah,
Like, he's been getting thrown around, crash tackling and all sorts of things. Like the grass stains all over his jeans. Yeah. And just how out of hand that got. Like, two of the culprits, like, were killed.
yeah,
One of them's severely wounded, and they just managed to get this one. Like, that could have been completely for nothing.
yeah. Bonka is sadly no longer with us.
He won't be joining us. A sudden case of death. And I love the broken mirror. Yeah, paper targets up until today. I really like that line. Like, this
Yeah,
is another big moment here. Well, just about everything Pappas says is good. Yeah. I've always known Sizemore to be a bigger guy, so this quick cameo of him totally missed me by when I first saw it, because he's very slim here. He hasn't got all that weight on him.
yeah, and I'd be keen to sort of learn how old he is when this was filmed, because he was a prolific actor in the 1990s. He popped up in a lot of films, whether it was for one or two scenes or in a supporting role, or as the lead. He was the lead in a movie I've got a soft spot for called The Relic with Penelope Ann Miller, Joyce from Kindergarten Cop. So that's a good, fun movie as well. Perfect, just perfect Friday night popcorn, Coke film.
I've always had this rule whenever you're dealing with a dickhead in the office, and like a number one trait is like they haven't actually done anything to annoy you, but they just seem to pop up all the time.
Yeah,
Like, that's a sign. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because John C. McGinley just kind of materializes in the background, drops a few hard truths, and then just disappears again. Like, whenever a guy just seems to pop up in your day-to-day life all the time like that, like, that's a sign, I think.
yeah, just to rub their noses in it.
Yeah, like, they just crop up all the time.
And it's a great scene, and he's deep in thought here. They've been barking up the wrong tree. If it wasn't those knobs, then who?
I think at that point Utah just wanted to close it pretty quickly and was kind of betting the farm on it being those four, because as I said, like, during the beach scene where he spent the night with Tyler, and he's obviously what is this her place? Um oh no, there's a football helmet clock, so it's his.
Yeah,
Um yeah, like at this point, like, he's not really pretending anymore when he's undercover. Like, he really is kind of just being himself.
yeah,
So yeah, he's kind of betting the farm that that raid was going to solve all the problems.
yeah, and put it to bed.
No, well, unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, he has his epiphany here when he sees the four of them in the surf.
And Papa's made a mention. There's going to be a gang within a gang. You won't know right off the bat, but you'll know it when you see it. And right there, you get the kind of four horsemen
Yeah,
vibe, don't you? Like, just look at them, like they're all riding their horses. Um, and that's when it finally does click. Is that you'll know them when you see them,
yeah.
and then bang. Which, by the way, I don't know if it was the epic shot of them tackling a wave together, or if it was just a close up on the ass. But Keanu seemed to really be invested in that ass.
Well, that's a good point, yeah, because it's a throwback to when they left the first bank heist. I never picked up on that. That's well spotted. That's a good point.
Well, as soon as his pants come down, it kind of all just clicks. Like,
Yeah,
why would he do that? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's LB, yeah, the LBJ
yeah,
who wears the LBJ mask likes to bare his ass. So
yeah. His pants fell off, and he ran for the touchdown bare ass. Yeah, he's got a new client. A big business deal came up,
yeah,
and he's got to get out of there. I love the wardrobe with Pappers, and I think you told me there's an Easter egg here that I never noticed before.
yeah. I believe he mentions a roadhouse in. He followed Roach to the roadhouse.
Yeah,
Call back to Swayze's film.
yeah, he had lunch at Patrick's Roadhouse.
Yeah, that's the line.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm that dense light just bends around me. Like, I should have noticed that ages ago, but
Yeah,
sometimes the coolest Easter eggs are hidden in plain sight.
yeah, I only picked up on it, watching it over the Christmas break.
Well, it's a 33-year-old film, and we're discovering new things about it, so that's always been my rule of thumb. Like, you've got a good film when it's almost half a century old, and you're still discovering new things about it.
Yeah.
And they made that point when they were going through the CCTV at the bank that was knocked off at the start. So, 30 banks in 3 years, they've not once touched a vault.
Yes.
Yeah. Like stink on shit. I wonder how much of this is ab-libbed from Gary Busey, because that just seems like the kind of thing you'd say anyway.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by his conduct here, particularly after Keanu shared all the intel. If only, I guess it's one of the frustrating things, like when Sarah calls her mother in the Terminator. If she didn't do that, well, the movie can't happen, I guess. But it's always intrigued me this how you'd think he'd be taking it just a little bit more seriously. Um,
Especially since this is the only day that, if his timeline theory, his hypothesis is correct, this is the only day that this robbery can happen on, and it's going to happen any minute now. And he's reading cartoons.
yeah, I could understand him acting like this if Keanu was just on a hunch. I love that background. Isn't it great?
Yeah, they literally pull up. A cool thing there is that they pull up in a Lincoln,
Yeah,
like Abe Lincoln.
yeah. But when he shared the intel that he'd tailed Roach and Roach spent like an hour inside the day before, he'd be a bit more. He'd be taking it a bit more seriously. I guess that's just
Like,
it doesn't make it
not to mention, like, when Keanu comes back, he's literally taken one glance at the Lincoln, and then he says, "Did you notice it over there? What Lincoln?" Like, and he was busy ordering up food. Did you not notice the car that just pulled up?
yeah.
And he hasn't even acknowledged, what Lincoln. Yeah, like, all of a sudden, Pappas just really doesn't care, and then this happens. Yeah, and at this point, he really is ousted. And
Yeah.
I did love that moment when Bodhi said there, as Regan, "No, don't kill him," and it's something that Johnny does for him later as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's no such compunction with Roach. Eh? He was just going to cut him down. I got him.
It reminds me of the bring the halflings back to me alive and unspoiled, and then that one random fucking Urukai comes down with that axe, and
Yeah.
gets ready to just behead Merry and Pippin. I don't think the orders truly got through there, did they? It's same deal here. Roach was just going to blow him away with the Olympia.
Yeah. So it's a great car chase. This is all just so expertly done.
See, and I love how we're using shaky cams when we're getting the wide shots of the cars and all of that, but when they cut to internal shots like this, it's all on rails. You can see where everyone is and what they're doing, their reactions. It's
Yeah,
like the whole thing isn't having a massive seizure a la
yeah,
J.J. Abrams or anything.
yeah. At no stage can I not tell what's going on. I can easily keep track of where the two cars are in relation to each other. And this used to be the bare minimum. Like these days, like we take the bare minimum and hold it up as like this amazing effort they put in. When this was like
Mm,
this, like blocking a shot and tracking it and making sure the editing lines up, you'd be embarrassed to release a movie that didn't have that back in the day.
yeah.
Nowadays, they don't even worry about it. It's yeah, it's just such a lost art, and it should be a given in a lot of films. And it's all terrific stuff. You know, I don't want to do commentaries where there's lots and lots of silences, but it's hard not to just sit back in awe.
Yeah, it's like that's what I'm talking about. Like now we're at this servo here, and it's not about fixing the car. It's like they got to get something new. What about the old Chevy and all of that? It's literally because they've never been on the back foot like this before, and you can tell, with the exception of Bodhi, the other three are really starting to panic now because they literally just had someone who's been close to them over the last couple of days pull out a gun, so they're with the FBI, chase them. They realize, okay, it's really not a game anymore. We're in some deep shit, and we're seeing it here. Bodhi still, like, he even has a line just after this where he says, "This just ups the stakes." He's still not taking it seriously. Like,
Yeah,
the other three are like, "Mate, we've got to move now. Like, this is like the beginning of the end here." Is what this is. Like, the guy who you've been vouching for, just pulled out a badge.
yeah,
Yeah, this is just awesome. This. Yeah, and like I've been doing some reading on this. Lighting an actor on fire like that. Like that's not
yeah,
digital fire, guys. This is 1990. This was getting filmed in. Like, apparently, like the fire, like protective suits that they had to wear and stuff like that could only really hold that up for about 10 seconds, and then they had to douse the actor out.
yeah. Incredibly dangerous, and it just looks fantastic.
So people asking why can one actor be worth millions? Well, they do shit like that I'm not interested in doing. I kind of like being alive.
Yeah,
And like the old tracking here, like this would be shaky cam, close up, legs moving only. Like we're running through toys and all sorts of things, and it really shows you the kind of like at any point a civilian could come out, and it's a child here.
yeah.
With things that they're showing, like Johnny has got to be careful how he approaches this.
Yeah, the editing, the cinematography, the intensity in the running. It's just a phenomenal sequence, and it would have been painstakingly and time consuming to plan, but the now it's preserved forever. This is a phenomenal sequence. I just love it to bits. I've seen it many, many times, and I never get bored of it. And again, you can tell everything the where the two characters are in relation.
Yeah, and
Every
they just left like 7-Elevens, like they picked up a couple of sandwiches and all of that. So it's kind of there's like a bank, and then they just drove past a servo, underground parking, and all of that. And now they're in a residential area, like all close knit structures that wouldn't be that far away.
Yeah, it's. I wonder if it's the best foot chase ever committed to film. It's the other ones that sort of spring to mind. Although there's a film called To Live and Die in LA, but that gets a lot of love for its third act car chase. But earlier in the film, there's a thrilling foot chase through the Los Angeles airport. This probably tops it. But
I think
I love seeing guys just chasing
I
around.
would say this wins out because of the way that it ends.
Yeah,
Um, And I always thought Johnny here, for like the longest time, I always thought he just stuffed up the landing and that's what did him in. But it actually threw out the knee injury, which he ends up
Yes.
carrying for the whole film.
Yeah, he's re-injured the knee he hurt in
So like
college.
he would need, and like they have him all bandaged up with like stints and things like that. Like he basically needs reconstructive surgery on the leg because he's pretty much limping for the whole film after this.
Yeah, done his ACL.
I heard that like knee injuries are like pretty much when you do them, and it's very common with footballers. Like that's basically it. Like your life is never the same again.
Yeah, the science has gotten a little bit better, but yeah, it's basically a 12-month injury, and it's really the other thing is if you need it repaired, it's really impossible to tell if they've done a good job repairing it because there's plenty of stories like players who come back after 12 months re-injure it almost immediately. And
Yeah,
there's other so I think the quality there's a I forget his name. He's based in Sydney, but he treats a lot of footballers and a lot of the guys he treated, like Justin Hodges and a few guys, they all got back to playing at the highest level. But there's other guys who do their knee once and they're never the same player again. And yeah, they realise they're not quick enough anymore. They have no lateral movement.
yeah, and you get like early arthritis and stuff
Yeah,
like that when you get an injury that bad. Like you're talking like
yeah,
arthritis in your 30s and all of that, and that like that's not
yeah.
a problem you shouldn't have until about your 60s.
Yeah, I think it was the doctor for the Sydney Roosters said,
Yeah.
yeah, like if you're a professional footballer, you're going to get early onset arthritis in your 30s. He says there's never been an exception to that. It's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Humans weren't designed to have knees, and we just got the first. Like he did have a clean shot on Bodie there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they both know who each other is. So this is definitely the line in the sand point. We're well and truly going into the end game of the story now.
yeah,
I mean, that was a really good thing there. Like Bodie does give him that moment to shoot him. Like he could have just jumped that fence straight away, mate, while he was screaming in agony with the knee. But Bodie kind of just lets Utah decide it,
yeah,
and he doesn't kill him. Like almost kind of doing the whether or not he could have made the shot is anyone's guess. But given the performance of the firing range at the start of the film, he probably could have nailed it because he got a perfect score on that.
yeah, yeah. We
Um,
could have easily got him if he wanted to.
yeah, but then we don't get all this other cool stuff.
Yeah, what happened happened.
Yeah, well, that's true as well. Yes, but they were all bad. Yeah, I'm 100% this is Johnny's place, this. Yeah,
Yeah,
because how does Tyler find out again? She finds his shield.
yeah,
And this is a great moment here. I think this is the only time we get Bodhi and the other three without Utah. This is the only time we see a scene purely from his perspective and not through Utah's eyes as an audience.
yeah. I'm kind of unclear on what Rosie's role is here.
He's not a surfer. Bodhi mentions that when Tyler is hostage.
Yeah, okay. So is he? I wonder, is he their arms dealer or
Isn't he
their?
like the money launderer or something?
Yeah, okay.
Um,
It's
um,
just so weird that he's there, but he's not part of the.
well, he picks a knife fight with someone better.
Yeah, it's another great line. He probably gets what he deserves.
Um, See, this is what I'm talking about. Like you got one of them talking about fleeing the country. The other one just wants to, go interstate. But he's like, let's just not do anything. You know, um, they know who we are, but they can't prove it just yet. Yeah, like and it goes back to what Tyler said. Like he's got that kamikaze look in his eye.
Yeah,
Like he's just this thrill seeker just waiting, to kill himself bungee jumping from the moon without a rope.
yeah,
Like Tom Cruise style. What you? Yeah, like you would absolutely shit yourself if that's how you were woken up. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good. Yeah, so it's definitely his place. There's a gym set in the background.
Yeah, it's a great scene. She's got every right to be pissed. Um,
Because she's not actually a criminal either. So
yeah,
she's not tied up in this as deep as the others. Like, she's not tied up into it at all.
yeah, she plays the moment so well. You really do think she's going to shoot him.
Yeah, it would probably take everything in me not to commit to it. like, like, I love how she kind of has to throw the gun away before she does do something she'll regret.
Yeah, it's a great moment. She played it well.
Yeah, I love how the knee's still out. He can't even walk on it. Yeah. I'm glad Keanu didn't pull the snorkel out then. I mean, because it wouldn't have been the same relationship. I mean, because when you see it, mate, I mean, when they pull out Serpentera, it's not the same relationship anymore with that actor. You can't
Yeah,
look at him the same way, a la Viggo Mortensen.
yeah, step right up and see the one-eyed monster.
Yeah, Willie. Yeah, this is and I love how he couldn't even be bothered clearing off the pillow. Just leave it there.
Yeah, yeah, just leave it there.
I'll sort it out in the morning. It's like the dishes piling up. The cat's in
Yeah,
some strife. Yeah, you cut yourself shaving. Bodhi, that's a good line. Like, Bodhi knows exactly how that. Like, you threw a Rottweiler on him. Oh. And I've been trying to figure this out for quite a while here because I don't believe they were ever intending to kill Utah during the skydiving scene. They were just messing with him.
yeah, I
Um,
think so too.
yeah, I don't think at any point they wanted to kill him at all. Um, like especially after when Bodhi speaks to them and that kind of stuff. I love how they kind of have this one last moment of this kind of brotherhood that they're in.
Yeah,
Because as soon as they touch down is when the stakes go up, and Bodhi basically goes, "Okay, let's stop pretending. Yeah, we are the ones." Like he flat out says it. So it's just this awesome moment with all characters involved. That before everything does go to shit, let's do one last thrill seek, like as friends in this circle.
yeah, the skydiving scenes are amazing.
Like they
Um,
literally form a circle in the sky. By the way, like, yeah.
yeah, I was reading somewhere Patrick Swayze did did his own jumps, and I think it was well into the 20s and 30s, possibly higher. What he did for this film.
I wouldn't mind doing it one day.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, but I believe there is a shot coming up where Swayze just jumps out of the plane and it doesn't cut, so you know it was him.
Yeah, and same deal with the Rangers um, in MMPR.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Um, Coincidentally, another '90s thing. Yeah, and like this moment here when they're all screwing around with the backpacks. The only reason they're doing that is because they know he's a cop and they know that he knows who they are. They just haven't said it yet, so it's all really done for this kind of insane laugh. Yeah, like that. Yeah, you're probably better off with this one.
Yeah, and Roach is so unlikable, isn't he?
Yeah, obviously that's why he's what the second
That's why
last one to
he's
die.
yeah, and I guess his nickname is Roach.
Yeah, roach. Yeah, cockroach. Yeah, we're gonna jump or jerk off.
Yeah, I've had again every scene reminds me of sort of different sort of films. I've had Terminal Velocity, that skydiving movie with Charlie Sheen. It's been sitting on my DVD shelf for like a year. Every time I look at it, yeah, I'll get to it. And you had Drop Zone with Wesley Snipes around the same time, probably a year or two after this movie. You had to make a movie about every extreme sport in the 90s, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, you know, the cliffhanger,
Yeah.
you know, all that kind of stuff. Well, the only way out is in. Yeah, like look at the like landscape and all. Like it really is this kind of like last send off before. See, because I think that's the interesting thing about Bodhi. You can never really tell with him, can ya? Like what the go is with him.
Yeah.
And that's why the campfire scene with him and the other three was what I was trying to say. Like the way the other three freak out, like you know, your man is a Fed. He pulled a badge out. He pulled a gun out. He's coming after us. He's not one of us, and all this kind of stuff. Bodhi at all doesn't seem to be unfazed by the fact that Johnny turned out to be a federal agent, like at all, which makes me think he must have known from the jump that something wasn't quite right, because he doesn't seem to be at all shocked when he gets confirmation on that at all. The other three are losing their minds.
Yeah, well, it must have been a very scary moment for them because not only because Utah and Pappas were there waiting for them, they didn't just randomly run into a cop while the crime was in progress. It means they've ID'd them, they've been tailing them, and they were there waiting to arrest them. So yeah, no wonder Roach is freaking out.
Yeah, yeah. Bet your balls are this big now. And yeah, like how when you realize you've got that kind of heat, you know, the three of them are telling Bodhi that the jig is up. You know, like let's get out while we can. Like let's quit while we're ahead because that was such a close shave. And they know, but they don't know. No, they can't quite prove it yet. But Bodhi just is totally oblivious to that danger. It seems like,
Yeah,
or is he? Like, or is this part of the whole thing? Like, that's what I mean. Like with that character, you can never really tell, or at least I can't.
yeah,
I think that's what makes him so memorable.
yeah. It's one of the reasons is it's a great performance, and he had a career full of them.
Yeah, I think when that ground comes up, I'd probably need a change of underwear when I landed. But apart from that, no, I would like to give it a shot one day. You know, the sky's not going anywhere, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is another kind of mirrored moment I wanted to talk about when they lock hands here in like the broness of the whole thing. I love this beat here because that's exactly how he handcuffs him on Bell's Beach.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So
So
nice
like,
call.
well, like while the ground is coming up and they're arguing over pulling the parachute and all of that, it's awesome that the last time they meet at the end of the film is that they lock up like that again with cuffs.
Yeah,
Yeah, the canyons and the water and all that kind of stuff. Location scouting, man. Like, talk about lost art.
yeah.
God,
Well, they
like,
could just all green screen it now.
yeah, but even when they do go and shoot out in the real world, they pick the most boring fucking places to do it in.
Yeah,
Like, God, it can't be that hard, guys. Seriously. Oh, the adrenaline rush from that must be insane. Anyone who's skydived before, let me know what it's like when you touch down. Are you shaking like a leaf or what after that first time?
yeah,
Yeah, and then there's just this total shift when they get back, and like how the other presidents help Utah with the shoot and how to get out of it and all that kind of stuff, and then it just totally turns from 0 to 100 in like the most passive way.
yeah,
Like what I mean by that, I mean yeah, like Tyler has a knife to her throat from a psycho, but like what I mean is Bodhi doesn't pull out a gun. Like they all don't just pull out guns and start screaming at him or start flogging him up or anything like that. Like it's a very interesting way to up the stakes with this character. Like he wouldn't threaten Tyler like that, so he palms her off to someone who would.
yeah.
It says a lot about his belief. because he's very big. Because like what it was the 30 banks in 3 years, not one murder at all. Like a gun's never even been fired until when Utah showed up. So this. And I believe Utah even calls him on that. Like, yeah, like you're not gonna do something like this. Well, no, I won't. But that's why I palmed it off onto this psycho.
Yeah, Rosie.
Probably the one death that we didn't get on screen in the film, but if we did see it for real, we wouldn't have got the awesome line.
Yeah.
So I'm not all that cut up about it. Oh, see what I did there? Yeah,
He
Rosie.
kind of looks a bit like Jared Leto, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah, yeah. Every time he reminds me of John Travolta in that fucked up alien movie, whatever it was.
Oh, that Battlefield Earth,
Yeah,
yeah.
that. Yeah, he reminds me of that. I clean forgot what that film was called. And yeah, this is fantastic. This. All right, so now we're getting down into it. Now we can all be real with each other. Now, did Swayze play many villains?
No, not really. He was mainly the protagonist in a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, it's a little bit Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't it? Like like after the Terminator, and well, basically after T2, he was pretty much protagonist material from there on out. No one wants to see that guy be a villain again, and I think kind of a similar thing happened with Patrick Swayze. Like when you see him, like he's usually the main hero or a very positive supporting force in a lot of his films, with the exception of Keeping Mum, where he's just the sleazy boyfriend trying to pork Rowan Atkinson's wife. I can't think of many times where he's played a villain.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was the hero in Red Dawn. Dirty Dancing's not really an action film. Steel Dawn, he was the Nomad.
Yeah, no man.
Roadhouse, of course. Next of Kin, he's the hero in that. The Yeah, and I guess he sort of kind of dropped out of action movies. He did have that one with Meatloaf, the one about the truckers. I think it was called Black Dog. Um,
Well, I suppose, I mean, he was sick for quite a while, wasn't he? So maybe, with the development of his cancer and all of that, doing spin kicks probably wasn't on the table anymore.
yeah, he kind of sort of focused on sort of dramas and character-driven pieces
Yeah.
for the rest of the 90s and the 2000s.
This is awesome, this. I love the armoring up before they go in. Because, like,
Yeah,
they actually give him a bodysuit. Like, again, even though they know at this point, they're still not actively trying to kill him.
yeah,
And, like, I don't believe that was the intention at all. Like, until. I believe Roach is the first one to get killed. Oh, no. No, he gets wounded. I think Nathaniel's the first one to get killed.
yeah.
Yeah, when one of them finally gets on the receiving end of it, because they aren't really murderers just yet. Um, but I guess in Bodhi's mind, that's just a level up. Uh, yeah, like they seem to always shy away from that, so it's interesting. Like I don't know if it's been done before Point Break, having the main hero and the main villain be really chummy like this, but it's been done many times since.
Yeah, and this even within this one scene, there's so many great lines.
I've always been a sucker for that. This is your fucking wake up call. Like, because when they do this, like, there really is no going back.
Yeah, I love the one coming up as well when he it looks like you don't get to be president.
Yeah, well, we can't have you going in there hanging onto your dick. Yeah, this is and I love how they're like putting their ties on, like they're getting into the full ensemble while in the van.
Yeah.
Was there even another one that Johnny could have been? I was trying to think of that today.
No, it was just the four in
Yeah,
the
that's
gang.
what I
Yeah,
thought. Yeah.
yeah, I think there's Reagan, Nixon,
So basically,
Carter, and
the four
Elwood.
ex presidents in living memory at the time.
Yeah, the ex-presidents.
Yeah.
I believe Carter is still alive. He's in his 90s, I think.
Oh, fuck. There you go.
Jimmy
Actually,
Carter.
yeah, yeah, cheats. Yeah, see, I don't even think. Yeah, warning shots are fired, but I don't think they ever have attacked. Yeah, on the floor, asshole. I like that one. See, it almost reminds me, like, I wanted one of them to not take Johnny seriously and be like the guy in Showdown in Little Tokyo. The fuck you want? We close, man. Is because why would they take him seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ex presidents. Yeah, so I wonder what made him decide to go for the vault. Was it just because Johnny was there? Like, I never quite figured this out here because it's not like him to suddenly not be so methodical.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting aspect of his character for a guy who's like, fuck the system. They they were quite disciplined and structured in how they approach these bank heists, except for now, where he's sort of seeing the limitations of his philosophy and his worldview. He's all about he preaches that he doesn't like structure and routine, and he's a free spirit. But when they put that into action, it invites chaos and it invites unforeseen variables. If they had have stuck to their routine and the order that he fights so hard to rebel against in life, they could have been out the door by now. So it's a really interesting aspect, this scene, and what it shows about his character.
Yeah, you're breaking your own rules here. You're pulling too much time because usually at this point they're in the drop car.
Yeah,
See, and that's what I'm talking about. So, what was it? The thrill of the game, leveling up the game. That's doing this,
it
or is
just
it because he's hit about as free as he can be? He wants a bit more of that freedom.
he's he's chasing that ever increasing high.
It's like what? It's like the gold at the end of the rainbow, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, and you can't sort of reason with these people. You can't live with them. You can't, trying to have any sort of relationship with them. These adrenaline junkies who just increasingly do these ever more outlandish, desperate things, chasing an even bigger buzz. Oof, as he cops one in the chest. I mean, isn't this off-duty cop the MVP? He pretty much takes all of them out.
Yeah. It's like Nethead in AVP. Like one
Yeah,
alien takes out two fucking predators in one
yeah,
fight. Um,
yeah,
like this guy, yeah, and he severely wounds a third one.
yeah,
It's like Paranta's head. Like, didn't he cause some fucking damage?
yeah. I want this guy on my team.
Yeah, and he's getting ready to take out Bodhi.
Yeah,
Just loading up, man. And then this is when, yeah, so yeah, two of them are dead. One of them's wounded. And yeah, so what? That's Bodhi's first on-screen kill. But they did make a mention there was no one was killed in the other heist that they did. Well,
yeah.
they weren't really heists. This would be a heist because they're going for the vault. And he's even unmasked himself to the cameras around. Like this, it really doesn't matter where it goes from here on out. Like he's totally just thrown like his own system out the window. He has been caught up in exactly what you were saying. He has been caught up in what he's been trying to go against, and it's cost him his crew now. Like I believe he even refers um, to the first one, Gorn as little brother.
Yeah, LBJ. So two of them are dead and Roach is injured.
Wait a minute, no, there's another one here. Um,
No, Roach is Nixon.
yeah,
That's him there. And the other one was shot before he shot. Oh no, there's two of them. Yeah.
Oh no, Pappas wounds Roach at the airport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so these three make it out unscathed. One of them's dead.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love
Yeah,
the.
I just momentarily. It's such an intense scene.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep my train of thought, but I'm picking up things that I didn't quite catch watching it earlier in the week, and because when you go into it trying to examine things and pick up on things you didn't notice about, you kind of fall down the rabbit hole, don't you? And you're trying to stick with it, and then something else awesome happens, then you're trying to address it all at the same time, and you're in this kind of juggling act.
Yeah,
Um, it's cool that Johnny ends up in handcuffs before any of the presidents do in the film.
yeah, he's the one left behind.
Yeah, Harp.
Yeah, but it's a movie trope. You've got to deck the asshole boss.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
Yeah,
You just got to give him a right hook, and I love the way they always play it. They walk away, they do like the
yeah,
subtle walk away, and then they just throw their whole fucking body talk into that hook, just bang. Oh, far out, jacking off. He's got a very distinct look, doesn't he, Gary Busey, with the big teeth and all of that kind of thing.
yeah. The big eyes
Yeah.
just knocked him out cold.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like you go for the walk away and then you just put your whole body into it. Bang! Yeah, John C. McGinley. It was coming.
Yeah,
Although I thought it was an interesting move to have Pappas be the one to do it and not Utah.
yeah,
Yeah, so Santa Monica. Yeah, so basically that what there we can't shoot him or anything like that, and the 76 fuel station in the background. Um, the whole shoot him, like he doesn't need to explain on screen that Tyler's being held hostage and she's on a time limit because we as an audience already know that's what he's going to fill him in on. Like that's a jump cut, like a smash cut to the actual scene after that, and
yeah.
not
That's right.
wasting any time. Like
Yeah,
a lot of movies today can learn a lesson from that.
yeah. That's right. You don't waste screen time establishing something the audience already knows.
Yeah.
You launch right into the action.
Yeah, like Gary Busey's what line there that we can't arrest or shoot him, that tells you everything. So he knows going into it. I love the shotgun cocking underneath the coat.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. And also scouting the area like that. I love that quick little camera POV shot because, you know, if he's already got a gun on him, well, it's got to be on the ground level somewhere. Yeah, I miss the old the revolver cop, you know, prop costume kind of department look that they had in the 80s and 90s. Like these days, what they'd pull out like a Glock or something.
yeah,
Like yeah, no, I miss that. I miss the old cops using revolvers. Yeah, so Roach just happens to walk out and spot Pappas.
yeah. A bit unfortunate.
You see, this is one of those. Usually, when the main hero has an older foil, typically the older foil does end up getting killed after they've served their developmental purpose to the main character. Like, look at Obi-Wan and Luke. Like, as
Yeah,
soon as
just,
look at Wade Garrett and Dalton. You know, like look at Qui-Gon and Kenobi. The older character, like when they've served that purpose, there really isn't much of a sense to keep them around just because people like them, like the audience likes them.
yeah. It's Joseph Campbell's hero with 1,000 bases that that clears the way for the hero to make the final leg of the journey alone, knowing everything he's learned.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, and I think that also needed to be done uh, as well because it's almost like the kind of stakes raiser for Utah. Like the Tyler being held hostage was one thing, but then this happens, and the dynamic just totally shifts from there on out. And
Yeah,
he seems to adopt Papa's like like his drive to want to get these guys because he ends up, and you hear a lot of it in the dialogue at Bell's Beach where like he missed him by a week in Fiji, like he missed him in Mexico and all of that. Like Utah just totally becomes Papa's in a lot of ways during that year off before meeting Bodie at Bell's Beach. He just dedicates that entire year to tracking him down,
yeah,
much like what Papa's was like at the start of the film. And the language as well, like, yeah, let's go, man. Um, and all that kind of jazz. Like, they're still talking like as they were pre heist.
yeah.
Is that the same plane they skydived out of? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, quite possibly could be. And Bodhi seems sort of excessively torn up that Nate's dead. So it's a really interesting moment just happened there. He sort of lingered on Nate for several moments. Yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting choice there.
Well, same deal with Roach when Utah flat out says that he's not going to make it. The reason he's getting cold is because he's dying.
Yeah,
Um, you
yeah, it's
notice
a
you'll
brutal
catch Bodie's
line.
reaction to that when he says it's bullshit.
Yeah, it was such a brutal line, and yeah, it's just another great line in a movie full of them.
There's not really a line wasted. I get really annoyed when I hear internal monologues describing what I'm seeing on screen. Like, you'll see a dark and stormy night outside of a window, and then you'll hear the main character thinking, it was on a night just like this one, the rain hitting the pavement. Like, you guys can't write for shit if you're writing like that. It
Yeah,
bugs the shit out of me when they do that. Yeah, I think it's just this. He's desperately trying to hang on to something um,
yeah.
that was pre all this went down, but it's purely by his design. They trusted his leadership, and this is what's happened.
Here it's all going pear shaped for him now.
Yeah, and it's that if you want the ultimate, you've got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. It seems to be coming back to biting him a lot here. Like this is what he wanted, and he knew what the price tag was, and now that it's the bills come due, he's really not having it.
Yeah, we got ourselves a mind changer here.
Yeah, he couldn't put the bunny back in the box. I did love that line. I'll see you in hell, Utah, and he literally is about to jump out of an airplane into a desert that's
Yeah,
scorching hot. So you were saying earlier that this was kind of the when the film
yeah,
jumps the shark. What did you mean by that?
yeah. We can unpin that comment now. So this was an idea again that James Cameron had because it's a good point you made earlier. Sort of up until this point, the film had been relatively grounded in
Yeah,
terms of its action and tone, and Cameron had the idea of jumping out of a plane without the parachute, with the gun, getting a hold of the guy. So he wanted that real dramatic choice. You can't hold the gun, hold on to him, and pull the ripcord. You have to let one of them go. You got three options. You've only got two hands. But it does the screenwriter he wasn't happy with it because it does sort of strain credibility. He wanted to try and keep it as grounded as possible, and as you mentioned, up until this point, it had been, but he just felt sort of he disagreed with Cameron. He felt this moment stretched credibility a little bit too far. Whereas it's not impossible to jump out of a plane with no shoot and catch the guy. The
But
screenwriters
it really does belong in a James Bond Moonraker, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, but it's still a great sort of moment, and it is just a film. It's not unlike the jump. I might not be comparing apples with apples here, but how young de Bont just wanted him to jump, make the jump in speed, and like the production designer and the screenwriter were trying to make it plausible. He's like, I don't care. There's a gap in the road, and she floors it, and no audience in the world cared about it. How realistic it
You
was.
see, this is what I mean. Like, I don't mind stretching things because it is just a movie.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, like, yeah, again, not entirely impossible. It's not like he's like flying and all of that. And this is kind of like another nod to Bodhi's sort of belief system. Is that this is the kind of thing that Bodhi would inevitably end up doing when he tried to surf a tidal wave.
yeah,
And I love how they're totally oblivious to this, and they think that it's a job well done as soon as we land.
yeah.
And then it comes out of nowhere. I think even Bodhi says, "You are fucking crazy." That was a good way to break it down. You got three choices and two hands.
Yeah, so this is this is old Cameron here from what I can gather. So yeah, just to make that sort of intense, dramatic decision.
Yeah, well, maybe in the remake she can do it.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't touched on. I've never seen the remake.
Well, I tried not to delve into it because we'll end up talking about how much better this one is compared to it. But from
Yeah, I've only ever seen the
well, I believe it's a
trailer.
remake basically in name and characters only because they're not really surfers in the remake. They're more like just thrill seekers in general. Like they're like it's. I mean, like I know we got surfers and we're looking at skydiving now, and they have a rough landing that throws Utah's leg out again. Um, but apparently they're more like what, like abseiling, rock
Mm.
climbing. Like they're into all of that high extreme sport
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
remake.
perusing a few articles about it. It does seem to, because it was absolutely roasted on release in 2015, but it does seem to have a bit better reputation now. I sort of perused a few articles um, of and watched a few videos of people who have revisited it in the last years, and yeah, the remake does seem to have a bit better reputation, which often happens like with the internet. I mean, it's the worst fucking thing ever made, but a couple of years later, when the dust settles,
Oh,
it'll
it wasn't too bad.
yeah, that's right.
you
It
know,
happens a lot, doesn't it?
yeah, it's like the bizarro honeymoon phase, isn't it? Like when something
Yeah,
comes out and people scream it's the best thing ever. Oh well, looking back on it, it's a lot like that.
yeah,
like
yeah,
they tear it to shreds, and then like I'm starting to see videos now crop up talking about how the DCEU got it right. Like
yeah.
I'm like,
That's
what are
right.
you
Yeah,
talking about? Like 15 years of saying it was the worst fucking thing on the planet. All of a
yeah,
sudden, it's got it right now.
yeah. You bag the shit out of it every day for years, and now all of a sudden you miss it. And not to
Same
mention,
deal with the remake. Yeah, yeah. Go
yeah,
on.
and it actually was remade. It's the original Fast and Furious movie from 2001. It's beat for beat the exact same plot, except they're street racers stealing DVDs. It's Paul Walker's the undercover cop who infiltrates the gang,
Yeah,
and
but that's different, I bet, when it
yeah,
comes to audiences.
yeah. I mean, like I tried to sit down and watch all of them, but they all just blur into one. But that first one is the one I enjoy the most because it's a lot. I see a lot of Point Break.
I love the cutoff here where she goes the I la and then he stops her.
Mm,
Like, so that's my kind of indication. Like, look, I don't believe if James Cameron is involved at all, yeah, some other time. I don't believe they would have her start to utter a line like that and not have them still together at the end of the film when he's in Australia. Like, we're talking Catherine Bigelow here and we're talking James Cameron here. I don't think they would, and we're talking about a film that hasn't so far had a wasted line of dialogue. I don't think they'd put that in there and then he's like, yeah, nah, fuck her, I'm going to Australia to catch this guy.
yeah, I believe canonically they're still together.
Yeah.
Uh, I believe I read somewhere, either from the director or the writer, they do stay together and get married and have a daughter or whatever. So they are. I can, if you Google it, there is an interview or a discussion with the with one of the
Mm,
higher ups who say Tyler and Johnny do stay together.
yeah. I'm sick and tired of movies leading to this will they won't they romance, and then oh yeah they do but they kind of don't, or they split up over in between sequels. I really fucking hate writers that do that, or writers that come along and they go, oh well, I was going through my own personal divorce at the time and I thought it'd be an interesting character moment if I wrote that into
Yeah,
the script. No, you're just being a cockhead. Stop
yeah,
doing that.
yeah, yeah. I'm going to use the family from Family Ties to explore that.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, so this is the twice in a century storm here. Was
Yeah.
this was actually shot in at Bells Beach in Melbourne, wasn't it?
No, I don't believe so. Oh, I think I read somewhere
They
it
just
was
cheated it.
shot. Um, don't quote me on it. I think it may have been shot somewhere in Maui, but yeah, I'm not. I don't think it was Australia. It would have been nice, but I don't think they got around to coming this far out of their way.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about, like just how unkempt Utah looks, and he's not undercover anymore, so that's not a reason because he's just been focusing all of his energies in tracking down Bodhi, and he knew he wouldn't miss this.
Yeah,
Like he's got the stubble going, he's got the long hair going, he's got the denim. You know,
yeah.
he's
It's a great detail. The juxtaposition. He's got the long hair now, and we'll see Bodhi in a minute. He's sort of fresh cut, and
yeah, and he's clean shaven as well, Bodhi.
yeah. So it really cements the fact that it hasn't been a week or two. They've spent a significant amount of time apart.
I did love the casual stroll up. Like I said, the hero and the villain having these moments together, and that kind of jazz. I don't know if it's been done before Point Break, but it has been done a lot of times since. Just not as good.
Yeah, and I think it was the studio I was listening that wanted them to fight here. In the original script, they don't fight. He just sort of makes his case, and Utah lets him go. But
Well, I guess they got to get it out
yeah,
for Utah's sake.
you got to have a fight in there somewhere. I suppose it's a big budget movie.
Yeah, a bit of a punch up. Why not? Well, they haven't really had a proper scrap, have they, in the whole film? So yeah, I suppose yeah, why not? Just pull it out. But you hear him talk there, yeah, like he's missed him in all these other countries, and finding fake IDs and all this kind of thing. Like he's really been chasing after Bodhi like nothing else exists.
Yeah,
um, very much the way Pappas was. And yeah, like at the start with the firing range, when he was at the academy getting his 100% score, Utah gets his guy, and we're ending in the rain again.
yeah. It's a great little detail. Yeah, I've never noticed it before. It begins and ends in the pouring rain. How did I not notice it before?
Well, that's what I'm talking about, isn't it? Like sometimes it's like poetry, it rhymes, but
Yeah,
sometimes like the coolest like links and reflections like that, you know, they aren't always the easiest thing to spot, but they're hidden in plain sight. That's what makes them so good.
yeah, that's right. And when the opening credits roll, you're not really in the rhythm of the film yet, so it is an easy thing to miss and overlook.
I think it's I often wondered about this when it comes to guys who are fighters like Patrick Swayze. I suppose if you've been real training your whole life and you've got a background in martial arts and like kickboxing and shit like that, it must be hard to fake fight if you've
Yeah,
been trained in it. So like it must be hard to pull your punches when you've been trained and disciplined to do it for real.
yeah, because the reality is you end a fight as quickly as possible,
Yeah,
but
bang,
that
you're out.
doesn't make good entertainment like long drawn out fights do. But yeah, I think a lot of People
Like
don't
getting
realize.
clobbered in the face like that would have been like two
Yeah,
heavy punches like that when you're on your
yeah,
back would be the end of any fight in real life.
yeah. Like a real life fight is like you're lucky if it lasts 10 seconds. Like a 10-second fight in reality is quite a long fight, believe it or not.
Yeah.
The reality is they're over after a couple of seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely got a few on him. Well, yeah, because I remember Stallone gave a good interview about that in regards to Creed when he had Michael B. Jordan punched out for real by Tony Bellew. You got to get punched for real by a real pro, and you see, like when you get punched by an actual fighter, it's not like these bar drunken brawls where everyone's throwing big haymakers at each other. No, it's boom, like straight to the
Yeah.
face, like pinpoint, bang. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's not like any of these big wide shots like that. And you saw a lot of that with Patrick Swayze just before, like just
yeah.
bang, just straight to the point.
Yeah, look up some of like Mike Tyson when he was at his prime.
Mm.
You'd just be left speechless the way he could move and hit.
I like what someone said about Mike, just real quick, is that like the guy's been retired for like 20 years. You still wouldn't want to piss him off though.
Yeah, he's geez, he was a lethal athlete. Yeah, I was just in awe of him. Um, yeah, just watching some of his old fights.
And this is something that I liked. If you remember back to the airplane, um, just before Pappas was killed, he says, like, look, you've got everything, you're on your way, just let Tyler go, I'm begging you. And Bodhi uses that exact same line to him. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, man, I'm begging you.
Yeah,
Like, they really have completely flipped over the year.
yeah,
So, like, now Utah's got him by the balls, and he's using the line, I'm begging you. Um, and probably something that he's reflecting on here is that Bodhi did keep his promise. Maybe that there was that little hiccup with trying to kill him in a plane crash. Um, but Bodhi did let Tyler go like as soon as they landed on the ground.
yeah. And it's a much more memorable ending. I don't know if they ever considered an alternative. You have to think they did, like the conventional ending where the cops show up and arrest him, but it's a much more interesting ending, letting him go. And again, it's right there in that's why the Fast and Furious was so memorable and why it's had 10 movies. Paul Walker lets Vin Diesel go at the end, and everyone thinks it's such a groundbreaking moment. No, Keanu Reeves did it 10 years before that when he let Patrick Swayze go in this film.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
It's such an interesting, like, yeah, it's a because he works in law enforcement and he let him go.
I love
But
how.
I confess, as a boy, I was a bit too slow on the uptake here. I just watching this as a kid, I just assumed I didn't quite make the connection that he died until I saw it a couple of years later when I was in my early teens.
What are you talking about, mate? Look at that. He's coming out of that alive. Sequel, man.
Yeah, well, I know, but as a kid, you don't quite.
Even though you see him completely stack it here. Yeah.
I'm that thick. In The Ghost in the Darkness, watching it the first time, I thought, how did the lion teleport on the roof?
There's fucking two
That's
of
how
them.
thick I am.
Yeah, it's I did have something I was going to bring up there, but then you started talking about the Ghost in the Darkness, and I've
Yeah,
totally
anyway,
fucking lost my.
continue.
Uh,
I think that 50-foot wave had something to say about it.
and I love how he throws the badge away here. That like, take what
Yeah,
you will away from that. Um, I mean, I guess like that's what he set out to do, and he's done it. One thing on the credits there, I love it how the song's kicking in before the credit actually rolls.
yeah,
They really faded that out in the 90s. I miss the crescendoing of the background credit song and then the credits kick in.
yeah.
Not
And
too bad of a little number.
Yeah, I just quickly caught that credit. Peter Phelps, he's a well-known Australian actor. He played one of the surfer dudes at the end.
Which is what made me think it might have been, or maybe they just got Aussie actors in there because their accents were actually really good.
Yeah,
Like what the
yeah,
fuck, Utah? Like that's exactly how I'd say it.
yeah,
Nah, awesome little number. This, it's it's like what is it? It's like a good pair of jeans. Um,
yeah. It's a great film. Yeah, I just remember being obsessed with it. My friends and I, like in sort of around 12 or 13, it's just the coolest movie you've ever seen, eh?
the first time it crossed my radar, while we're sitting through the crest, the first time it crossed my radar was I was flicking through the old Ostar, and I think I ended up on TV1, and they were playing it on there. And
Yeah,
I,
okay.
and I was watching the foot chase, and it was the rubber Regan face that kind of
Yeah,
made me stay on it. I must have been like 8 or 9, and then I saw the gas station flamethrower and all this kind of stuff, and I saw it from there on out, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And I never got around to seeing the full thing until I was well into high school years.
yeah, okay, yeah.
But that always stuck with me, the rubber faces.
Yeah, they're so memorable. Yeah,
Because like when you see it as a kid and you don't have the full context, and the heist is the first thing you see, I thought it was like a horror movie, like Scream, almost. When I was a kid.
yeah, and the masks are just so well done. Everything about the ex-presidents was just so well executed, from the costumes to the masks to the action and the heists and the editing, the writing, directing, all those things.
Yeah, give you a little inside scoop.
Yeah,
Um,
they are so memorable.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, just like I'm almost like Utah myself right now, just going, man, I must be losing it. Any
yeah.
closing
Well,
remarks?
yeah. Interestingly enough, it wasn't well received on. I mean, the reviews were okay, but they weren't, overly uh, full of praise. But now, after the wall to wall shit that we have to slog through, now it's held up as a seminal sort of action thriller. When Because everything today just feels like it's so subpar. Like movies that weren't sort of well received at the time are now considered like really seminal in their genre. That's one of the interesting things I learned this week when I sort of perused some of the retrospectives and how people reflect on a, because it is an old film. I mean, it's 1991, was a long, long time ago. It's really interesting the reputation it has now. It's now considered like one of the best in the genre.